Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, obviously give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, why not hit that subscribe button? And last, but by no means least, if you'd like to, why not drop a comment down below. One, goes a massive way to helping out the channel. And two, I really do love hearing back from you guys, whether you're just stopping by to say hello, whether you, I don't know, you want to comment on which Spearhead is your favourite, or if a certain minis that you're collecting, are you going to double up on anything to have some, build different variations or go for different colour schemes, all that type of good stuff. One, it's really enjoyable to hear back from you guys and have that conversation with you. And two, yeah, it makes it more of a community. So why the hell not? Now then, this week we are on issue number 19 of Spearhead magazine. It is part 2 of 2 of our Seraphon Croxigor minis. So, not only do you get 3 of these fairly large 40mm bases, you also get 1 more sprue. So, this is our third Croxigor, so you can build him up and get him ready and everything like that. Again, with these guys, they are super cool. I really do like these ones. I think they're a really cool kit. You have options, so you can build it with the more crocodilian style head, you can build it with the more saurus like head, and there's a couple of variations on that saurus like head as well, so it is entirely up to you. Personally, I like the more crocodilian head for these chappies. I think they look really cool with that crocodile style head, so I will probably go that way. The bigger head makes them look a bit more funny and a bit more funky and a bit more, definitely a lot tougher. So I will be going that way personally. But yeah, really cool, super cool unit and super fun. Yeah, really good ones. And obviously, as I said last week, you can utilise these to make Croxigors or Warspawn Croxigors. Both very viable options, both really cool. Both super intelligent and super fun units to have on the battlefield for your Seraphon, so entirely up to you. So, happy days. Anyway, going into this week's issue, first off, we are actually greeted by the Slann. The Slann are the sage overseers of the Seraphon. Not only do they possess the wisdom for governance, they are also powerful masters of the arcane. They are few in number but mighty in deeds, and they plan and direct the operations of Seraphon forces as they go about the many subtle works that serve the great plan. The Slann are chief among the servants of the Old Ones, and under their guidance the Seraphon are marshalled to the work of the great plan. Such is their magical power that they can effortlessly destroy all enemies before them, drenching them in purifying starfire with a withering glare or a mere gesture of a scaled hand. So, the Slann are the frog-looking chappies for the Seraphon range. They are really cool. There are some really interesting ones. They are generally Star Masters, and they have all these really cool abilities. They generally sit on these big stone floating chairs. There is a really powerful one known as Lord Croak, who is very cool and has had a more recent version of his mini. So there's an older version and there's a more recent version, and yeah, they are really cool, and they are super cool and very powerful when it comes to wizardry and magical abilities. And there's one there for you. Yeah, they are really cool and they are super good. And they have these nice tactical rocks to make them look like they're flying and all that type of stuff. So, really cool unit. It's one of them things, I must admit. Always tempted to buy them, never bought one. Maybe I will one day. Anyway, they have obviously very potent minds. The Slann are powerful telepathic beings whose minds can sustain a clear connection with others over many leagues. They use their gifts to command their forces from afar, channeling their will into their chosen servants over vast distances. And only rarely do the Slann venture onto a battlefield in the flesh. When they do, it is almost as though the gods themselves walk the earth. With study these, they unleash frightening magical energies and level entire armies with their power. Millennia of study have provided each with the knowledge of 1,000 common mages, but as powerful as they are carefully safeguarded by their forces, for should one fall, there is no replacing them. So they are a very, very finite being, really. So they are very, very, how can I put it? What's the best way to put it? Yeah, when they die, they're very irreplaceable to the seraphon. So the seraphon do revere them a little bit godlike. But yeah, they're really, really cool. I must admit, one of my favourite units. They're really, really interesting. They have some super cool lore. They don't do a huge amount in much of their lore, but they have some really cool, powerful abilities. But yeah, super good stuff. Genuinely one of my favourite units of all time. Moving on from there, though, we actually get finally a collect page for naming our seraphon. So obviously you have Starscale Warhost, which is the name of our Spearhead. So, and that's exactly what the Spearhead looks like there. So we have obviously our Saurus Warriors, which we've already got. Completely Croxigors, which now we've already got. And the good old Saurus Old Blood on good old Carnosaur. So that's coming up in the next 2 weeks, which will be pretty cool. And obviously you've got to give them their names. So you can give them character names, which obviously if you look at a lot of these character names, you will very, very much realise that it is very Aztec-y, and that's by design as well. So the idea of the fact that they have these Aztec-y kind of names matches their look, because a lot of the kind of weaponry and the iconography and the runes and everything like that very, very much resemble the Aztecs, Mayans, Inca, and everything like that of the Central Americas. Those native inhabitants of the Central Americas before colonization happened, and they utilise a lot of that. So they look very, very similar to that, and their ziggurats look very, very similar as well. So if you ever look at the ziggurats that you can get in the artwork for the seraphon and everything like that, you will notice how pretty similar it looks to the temples in Mayan cities and places like that. So really cool. You get to give them titles and obviously unit names, so you can utilize all of that to name your Spearhead and keep it going how you want to. Then we move on. We have our collect page for the Croxigors themselves. So obviously you get to give them their unit name finally, which, you know, you can roll off that table if you wanted to, or use one of the online name generators if you really, really wish to, or if you feel very, very creative, make it up yourself. Your choice. But, you know, you've got your choices, so you've got a few options at your beck and command, so why not? Obviously, you get to do your usual, so you get to tick off their moment of glory, which is when the Croxigor destroy an enemy unit in the same turn, and that the Croxigor charged into combat. So if you get to destroy a unit with your Croxigors after you've charged them in, you get to tick off your moment of glory. Pretty cool. Obviously tick off whether you built it, painted it and played with it and all that good stuff. And obviously on the other page we have our War Scroll itself. Now, I am still holding out hope that we are going to get War Scroll cards. However, I am starting to doubt that we will, because it's taken them a long bloody time to get round to doing it, which is really, really frustrating. Personally, I'd really, really hope that they do and they sort themselves out and they get them some, because it's far easier than carrying around a load of pages. Although you can separate them per army, so it's up to you. But, yeah, it'd be far better if they did, because they gave us cards for Combat Patrol, so why not give us cards for good old Spearhead? It'd make life easier. Anywho, last week we had our build guide for the Croxigors. This week, obviously, we get our paint guide. Now, I'm going to agree and disagree with this colour scheme. In the blue, yeah, it looks all right, but they look very, very much like our Saurus Warriors, which is why I would go a different colour scheme. Now, If you want to go for a slightly similar colour scheme to what the main very expertly painted images are, you can do. So if you went with a, I'm going to say, a base layer over your good old Abaddon Black of something like a green camo maybe, or something like that, or a pale green, and then build up your blues over the top, could look pretty good. So a bit of dry brushing here and there with the front and the kind of chest area of your good old croc scores. Wraithbone works very, very well. You might want to mix it with a slightly different colour to kind of give it a little bit of a reddy colour. So maybe kind of mix it in with a, I don't know, I'd probably go about 5 parts Wraithbone to 1 part Mephiston. No, probably not actually. You probably wouldn't even do that. Yeah, it's going to be tough to do that, to kind of copy that, but you can do it, in all honesty. It's just a little bit trickier than I was thinking. A part of me was thinking 5 parts Wraithbone to 1 part Mephiston Red, or good old Screamer Pink maybe. However, personally, actually, that might not be very good. I don't know. It's a bit of a tough one. But, you know, I'm sure you'll find a way of doing it that'll fit in with your minis. Personally, yeah, there's definitely ways of doing it. But, yeah, it's working it out. That's going to be the fun part. But that's what painting's all about. Working out how your colour schemes are going to work and what works for you and what you think works best for your minis. Anyway, if you are following the guide, using your Drakenhof Nightshade, Calgar Blue, Cantor Blue and all that type of stuff, it can work. However, I think they look a bit dark and they look a bit meh. There's something just missing from them, and they look too much like the Saurus Warriors, in my opinion, in this colour scheme. I very, very much would go with a greener colour. So go with a greener palette. So you could even go something like Orc Flesh as kind of like a base layer, and then build up with, say, like, I don't know, Stegodon scale, for instance, maybe over the top of it. Maybe you want to go for something a little bit different. Maybe you want to go pale. Maybe you want to go red. Entirely up to you. Have a bit of fun with it. But, yeah, it could be better, in my opinion. It could be a better colour scheme that the magazine could be teaching you, because, yeah, it just is what it is, isn't it? But, no. What do I know? I'm just an idiot on the internet. Anyway, moving on from there, we get a little bit more of our basics. So modifying characteristics for your mini. So obviously before this, we have learnt about reinforcements and how the reinforcements can be located. So if a unit is reinforcements, it will have that little circular arrow symbol in the corner of their war scroll. And it will also mention as well on there. So the reinforcement units that you can get are for things like Stormcast Eternals, Cities of Sigmar, Lumineth Realm Lords, Ideneth Deepkin, Sylvaneth, Skaven, and Gloomspite Gits. We generally don't have any other units from any of the spearheads that we get in this collection that have the ability. So, yeah, just be aware of that. We also had terrain features and how to utilise all of those as well. So, you've got a good bit of information to kind of keep it going, and obviously recapping it all helps you work out very, very well how to utilise it. But obviously, the more you play, the more you're going to learn. Then we move on. We get modifying characteristics. So modifying is adding or subtracting from an existing characteristic. You have already come across some modifiers, such as weapon keywords, that have an increased rend characteristic when striking certain enemies. In this bit, they're going to look a little bit more depth around the rules regarding certain modifiers. So, for instance, there will be attack modifiers and caps and such like that, but there can also be some random characteristics that can be rolled and modifiers as well. So, you need to have a bit of a read through this, because it will give you the more of the kind of the slightly more in-depth basic versions of the rules, but it can be very, very, very handy to have. So you might have things like plan the attack, ordered cohorts, and all that type of stuff that will give certain additional benefits and such like that. Moving on from there, we have our new basic game, So Storm the Fortification, so using your 3 Croxigore, 5 Saurus Warriors, going up against the Lord Vigilance and 5 Liberators on either side of your battle mat, doesn't matter which. You're going to need your dice, wound markers, rulers, and if you want, have some scenery. Why not? But yeah, you get to have a bit of fun with that. Obviously, following the guide kind of gives you a good idea of how it is going to work and how it balances out, and you get to have a good bit of fun with that one. And yeah, it's up to you. Worth having a go, worth trying a few different ways of playing it, depending on which spearhead you want to go with. You know, it's good to have a little tinker and toy around with it all. Yeah, could be good fun. Then, lastly, next week is going to be part 1 of 2 of our Old Blood on Carnosaur. So issue number 20 and 21, part 1 and 2. We're going to learn more about skinks, war beasts, heroes, and such like that. So, for instance, your war beasts include the Carnosaur, the awesome big T-Rexy looking thing, or Ceratosaurus maybe, one of them type of things. You'll learn more about other war beasts. So, for instance, there's things like Stegodons and Bastillodons. There is that you can get for them. You've got war beasts that you can get from things like the Stormcast Eternals, like the Gryphstalker and the Gryph Chargers and Demogryphs and all that type of stuff. Then you've got, for some of the other factions, you've got, for instance, the City of Sigmar. If you get Talia Vedra, you have a Manticore and such like that. So you have a load of cool bits and pieces that go with a lot of different factions, which is really good. Anyway, I think that is more than enough from me. Thank you so much for watching. As per usual though, don't forget, obviously, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the near future. Bye bye now.